We equally looked at the impact of strategic corporate strategy. We looked at the two approaches, where we mentioned the prescriptive and emergent approaches. If we can remember very well, we talked about the levels of strategy, where we mentioned the top levels, or the top level, the business level, and the operational level. And here, today, we will be looking at our today's topic, which deals with what? The sustainable competitive advantage. We'll be looking at study unit 3, the sustainable competitive advantage. Why do we analyze competitors? Who are competitors? One might be asking, why competition? Who are competitors? In our day-to-day life, we experience some challenges. We experience one level of competition or the other. Be it in our individual life, in our family life, in our general environment, in our business life. You must have encountered, or you might have encountered, one competition or one competitor or one challenge, as the case may be, in your life endeavors. So today we'll be looking at competition or competitive advantage proper. So why do we analyze competitors? One might ask. To develop competitive advantage. We analyze competitors in order to do what? To develop competitive advantage. To gain an edge over competition. Especially to take advantage that can be sustained over time. Okay. You will be able to understand the importance of sustainable competitive advantage at the end of this course, or at the end of this study unit. You will be able to identify the two basic approaches to sustainable competitive advantage. You'll be able to state the sources available for developing competitive advantage. I mentioned 3 learning outcomes here. The importance of sustainable competitive advantage, 1. Secondly, the 2 basic approaches. Thirdly, the sources available for developing competitive advantage. The importance of sustainable competitive advantage. Competitors need to be more deeply embedded in the organization's resources. For any sustainable business strategy to be obtained, competitors need to be more or deeply embedded in the organizational resources, skills, culture, and investments over time. Let's break it down. For every sustainable competitive advantage, the understanding of the business resources, the skills, culture, and investments should be on the know. It should be well understood, the resources available, the skills available, the culture of the organization, and the kind of investment one is going into or the business intends to achieve. So the consciousness of the organizational environment, skills, culture, and investment is very paramount. Then, in that way, the organization tends to seek a very unique and different strategy that will keep them or help them gain an edge over its competitors. Secondly, in the development of sustainable competitive advantage, there lies the core understanding of the corporate strategy development. At the level of sustainable competitive advantage, there must be the understanding of what the corporate strategy is all about. The development of sustainable competitive advantage must lie the core of the corporate strategy development. Remember, we talked about the 3 levels of corporate strategy. The core areas of corporate strategy, if someone can remember. In our last class, we talked about the strategic analysis, strategy development, and strategy implementation. Now, the core understanding of the strategic development is very, very important as regards to sustainable competitive advantage. We looked at these 3 areas because it's very important in our corporate strategy. In the development of any organizational strategy, the awareness or the conscious inclusion of these 3 areas is very, very important. Your strategic analysis, development, and implementation, very, very important. But the second area, which has to do with strategy development, is very, very important as regards to corporate, the sustainable competitive advantage, because this is the development level. This is the strategy development level where certain development, being conscious of the environment, being flexible, looking at the current trend of the business environment, the prevailing situations, at this level is more like a development stage. So we looked at, or we'll be looking at the 2 basic areas of basic approaches to sustainable competitive advantage. But before we go to that, I would like us to look at the sustainable competitive advantage from these 2 areas or 2 organizational areas: the public service, not-for-public organization, and secondly, the profit organization. When you talk of sustainable competitive advantage, we mostly rely on the profit organization because they are the ones that face competition. They have competitors. With the consciousness of competition and competitors, it gives them drive and the need for building sustainable competitive advantage in the marketplace. I repeat, when we have to talk of profit organization, they are the business organization or the organization that are faced with competition. They are faced with competitors. And with this challenge of facing competition and facing competitors, it gives them the drive to the need for building sustainable competitive advantage in the marketplace. Then when we look at the public service or the not-for-profit organization, They depend mainly on government funds or private donations for support. Some of their services are provided free to the consumers without competition. Okay? So, but profit organization faces competition, and with competition, it gives them drive towards building a sustainable competitive advantage in the marketplace. Let's bring it down to our individual life. Most times when we are faced with one challenge or the other, you see some people, they bring the best out of them. They bring the best out of their life. They'll be forced to like go extra mile. New inventions can spring forth as a result of challenges. In most cases, people are mostly or likely to bring out their best when they are faced with challenges. So in the business world, we look at it from that angle as well. Because organizations or profit organizations are faced with competition, they tend to sit down, dot their I's, cross their T's, make better strategies to be able to aim or gain an edge over their competitors. Okay, I'd like us to look at the two basic approaches towards gaining a sustainable competitive advantage. We'll be looking at prescriptive and emergent. I think we've heard that word before. Prescriptive: if an advantage is to be sustainable, it cannot be quickly copied by others. It is likely that it will have taken some time. It requires a sustained period of development. I repeat, prescriptive approach. For any advantage to be sustainable, it cannot be quickly copied by others. Secondly, it requires a sustained period of development. It's not something, maybe a day's strategy or 2-day strategy. It requires years. It must be for a sustained period. It takes some years to develop and establish new branded products. That is prescriptive approach. Emergent approach: it is likely that it will have taken some time. Emergent approach takes some time, probably years, for organization to develop the advantage. When we talk of advantage here, one can equally call that to be a strategy. Okay, in other words, we can say strategy. It possibly takes some years for the organization to develop the strategy or the advantage. But in this case, it may require a degree of experimentation along with adjustment based on the development by competitors. I'll go over it again. It is likely that it have taken some time. Emergent takes possibly years for organization to develop the advantage. There are 3 points here. Years for organization to develop the advantage. Secondly, it requires a degree of experimentation. Thirdly, along with adjustment based on the development by competitors. I hope we are there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have two approaches, the emergent, the prescriptive, and emergent. Emergent looks at what? A certain years of development, coupled with it requires a sustained period of development, which takes years to develop, and it establishes new branded products. Emergent looks at years of development, degree of experimentation with adjustments based on the development by competitors. Then we'll be going to the source available for development or to develop competitive advantage. The source available for developing competitive advantage. We have so many sources. We'll be looking at a few of them in the course of this class. We have one, differentiation. Differentiation, which is what? The development of unique features. Low cost, development of low cost. All of them as the name goes. Niche marketing, selection of small market segments and concentration of all its efforts on achieving targets. High performance, special level of performance can be developed. We have quality, the quality of the product, the service, the vertical integration. We can Google or we can look at the references and still get more sources available for development of competitive advantage. What do I mean by sources available for development of competitive advantage? This is like a guide. In every business environment, you think of how you create unique features, development of unique features to achieve an edge. Do low costs apply? Do I have to bring down my costs? Do I have to concentrate on a particular area? Increase my effort in order to achieve targets. That is the niche marketing. Do I increase my performance? Special level of performance. What do I do with the quality of my products and services? How do I render my service? All these sources, all these strategies, we can call it sources, we can call it strategies. All these strategies are available to enable one to make or create a competitive advantage. Very, very important. I will equally encourage everyone to go through the reference, Google, get more sources, get more points on this. It will help us in creating a better strategies or better competitive advantage, even in our day-to-day lives activities. We have the three tests of sustainable competitive advantage. Three tests of sustainable competitive advantage. Significantly, sufficient to make a difference. It's very significant and sufficient to make a difference. Sustainable against environmental change and competitive attacks. It links to customers' benefits. 3 tests of sustainable competitive advantage. What do we understand by that? For every sustainable competitive advantage, if we're meant to analyze or look at it, we look at it from the differences it's created. For every sustainable competitive advantage, you start thinking of what difference? What difference does your product have to compare to others? What makes your product or services very unique? That's when we start thinking of the differences. The environmental changes, are you able to, the products and services you offer, is it in line with the prevailing situation? Is it in line with the current business environment challenges or influence? Some of the products might be, oh, this is a 20th century product or something like that. Product should be in line with the prevailing situation. Should be in line with the prevailing situation. Recognized and linked to customers' benefit. The consciousness of what the customers want, the customers' demand is very, very much here. You don't just produce products or you engage yourself in services for being in the business sake or being in the business environment sake. Who are your customers? Who do you intend to service? Who do you intend to meet their needs? So the recognition of the customer's demand and linking your product or your services to these customers are very, very important. So in the test of sustainable competitive advantage, one should be able to look out for the difference, the environmental changes and competitors' attack. One should be able to look out for what? The link to the customer's benefits. Very, very important. I'd equally like us to look, we'll be looking at the government and corporate strategy. The government and the corporate strategy. I hope we're able to get the outcome or the learning outcome of this study unit. We identified the importance of competitive advantage, sustainable competitive advantage, the 2 basic approaches. Remember what we talked about in the importance of sustainable competitive advantage. It has to do with what? Recognition of the core strategy development. Development of sustainable advantage lies at the core of what? The corporate strategy development. Secondly, the deeply embeddedment in the organizational resource, skills, culture, and investment. These are the 2 major importance. The 2 basic approaches, we mentioned what? The emergent and the prescriptive. Then, thirdly, the sources available for developing competitive advantage. That is what? The differentiation, the low cost, niche marketing, high performance, quality, service, vertical integration, and so on. We'll be going to study Unit 4 quickly. I would like to go through that quickly before I drop the assignment for the day. The government and corporate strategy. I would like us to go home today with knowing the fact that you are able to identify the 5 political trends that affect corporate strategy, that you will be able to identify issues involving government and industry. Organizations should recognize the influence from the government. Government should recognize the influence from government policy level, politics and economics. In every business organization or operation of any business, we should always be mindful of the environmental influences. Environmental influences in the area of the government influence, political influence. We have political influence, economic influence, social influence, technological influence, legal influence. We have so many external influences. But in the course of this study this day, we will be looking at what? The government influence. We'll be looking at government influence. We have the 5 political trends that affect corporate strategy. We have so many political trends that affect corporate strategy. We have 5 of them in our courseware, but I'll mention just few here, and I encourage us to read it up from our courseware. The decline of the centrally directed command economies of the Eastern Europe. We have the absence of the World War II and the end of Cold War. And I would like to include the current issue we have at hand. Which is a general issue, which is what? The coronavirus pandemic. It could be integrated into the political issues that affect corporate strategy. Please, I encourage us to read up the remaining 5 in your courseware. I included this current the last one, the coronavirus pandemic, which greatly have affected the corporate strategy, organizational strategies, even at this time. And it's a very big issue to deal with currently. So for want of time, I would like us to go to the next, which is what? The strategic analysis of the national economy. You are aware that government have some direct control over our economy. Government has a great control over our economy. In practice, when exploring corporate strategy, many organizations, both large and small, use their own manager to make economic forecasts. Yes, they use their own managers to make economic forecasts in case of any contingency plans. The forecasts are usually made on key macroeconomic issues. The forecasts are usually made on key macroeconomic issues. And what are some of these macro issues? We have the micro, which is the household individual activities. But some of these issues that deals with the macroeconomics, some of them that the managers can lay their hands to make the economic forecast includes the gross domestic product, the growth in domestic product, the retail flows in imports, exports, and the balance of payment. Private sector share of gross domestic product, agriculture share of gross domestic product. We have foreign direct investment. We have foreign direct investment. For every business environment or business operation, for every business operation, the understanding of the business environment is very, very important. For business or for organization to be able to create a sustainable competitive advantage, the understanding of the business environment is very, very important. And when we talk of the business environment, we always look at it from these two areas. We look at it from the internal environment and the external environment. The internal environment, that's where we talked about the organizational resources, the skills, the culture. You start thinking of the 4 M's, the man, material, machineries. You start thinking of those areas. The external environment, which the government falls in measurement of the external environment, one can equally say, fine, we can use the pestle to analyze the strategies or to analyze the external business environment. We can look at it from the political point of view, economic, social, technological, and legal. The E there, one can equally call it the environmental or the ecological. So the understanding of these influences, one can equally call it the factors influencing the business environment. The acknowledgement of these influences to the business activities will help one in creating a more like it, a sustainable competitive advantage. There are so many other analyses or tools in measurement of the business environment. But for today, we might be narrowing down to just this area. We'll get to find out more even as we proceed in the class. I would like us to take down this assignment. I would like us to take down this assignment. I hope we are following. Take down this assignment. State examples of companies with unique strategies. State example or state companies with unique strategies. State clearly those unique strategies that have earned them an edge over competitors. Hello?
We can hear you, ma'am.
Okay. State companies with unique strategies and clearly states those their unique strategies. I would like this to be in a tabular form. You state the organization or the company, state their strategies, competitors, and their strategies, and what makes these people unique. State examples of companies with unique strategies and clearly state those unique strategies that have earned them an edge over competitors. This assignment should be in a comparative format, that's in a tabular form, more like it. You can state the organization. If you have a better way, fine, but if we can place it in a tabular format, it will be clear. We'll have our strategy very clearly stated. We have the company. You can state whoever their competitors might be. So when looking at the table, we can see clearly their strategy that makes them outweigh or that made them to gain an edge over the others. Have we taken note of that? Okay. The last assignment we had, or the last assignment I gave out, I reviewed it. I found out we had just 10 persons that worked on that assignment. I equally made the reply. I sent a reply to acknowledging those assignments. So with the experience I had from that assignment, or from the facts I received going through that assignment, some of us need to take this work or this study very serious. So we need to put up a better strategy. If I have to use, we need to put up a better strategy in order to gain an edge over competitors. So currently, I can state one or two persons that have already started gaining an edge over others. So we should be able to draw our strategies well, create a sustainable competitive advantage even in the course of this work. Take your work serious, make a better strategies to achieve. Don't take assignments because already the mark have already started counting. So some of us don't even have an encouraging score to that. So I will encourage us all to show maximum concentration and commitment towards this study. So this second assignment, I would like to see a great improvement, comparing that with the last assignment we had. So let's take it serious and be focused on what we are doing. So please check your mails for my response. And I would like to have this assignment sent to my email as we did the last time. I will fully acknowledge receipt. I would like to receive it even before the next class. Please, I would like to take questions now before we call it a day.
Sorry, ma. Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Okay, I want to just clarify what you said. Are you saying those that you did not respond, reply to the assignments, we need to do more? Like, we didn't get any reply from you. That means we didn't do well in the assignment.
If you didn't get my reply, I didn't see your assignment. That's just an indication to that. If I didn't get my reply, that shows I did not see your assignment. So all you need to do, if I actually sent to my mail, just forward.
Okay.
You forward back. Don't send, just forward back. And an evidence to show you, so I can easily.
Okay.
I can easily. Yes. So if I see it and see the date, maybe you're sending now, or you're sending any assignment that was sent. Is this Saturday's class?
Yeah.
I won't take it. Yes, because we had enough time to do that. Okay, I gave out enough time for us to have that assignment completed. So just if in case you submitted earlier, just forward back, then I'll reply you.
Okay, ma. Thank you.
And secondly, another issue there. Please, let's use Word document. Let's save the assignment as an attachment. We shouldn't write directly to the, what they call it, into the text box or so. Let's write our assignments and send as an attachment. Okay? So many of us did not do that. Hello?
We can hear you, ma.
Okay. Any other question? Any other question? I encourage us to go through the assessment questions, go through the summary units, the assessment questions, very, very important. Very, very important. Go through your assessment questions. Review what we've done. If possible, read further using those references stated there in your courseware. For more knowledge towards this module. So if there's no other question, we'll summarize by recollecting what we did for today. Corporate, sustainable, competitive advantage. The importance of sustainable competitive advantage. We looked at the two basic areas. When we talk of sustainable competitive advantage, mostly carried out by profit organizations. Why? They are the ones that face more of competition or competitors, and with that, it draws them or give them the need for building sustainable competitive advantage in the marketplace. The two basic approaches, the prescriptive and the emergent. Prescriptive is sustained period of development. The advantage cannot be quickly copied by others. These 2 points, very important. Advantages or strategies cannot quickly be copied by others, and it requires a sustained period of development. Emergent, possibly years for organization to develop the advantage. Secondly, requires a degree of experimentation along with adjustment based on the development by competitors. The sources available for developing competitive advantage, we highlighted some points: differentiation, low cost, inch marketing, high performance, quality, service, vertical integration. I always say and so on, because there are more to these sources. The three tests of sustainable competitive advantage. In other words, in testing sustainable competitive advantage, we look out for these areas of the differences, environmental changes, and competitors' attack, recognizable, and it must be linked to the customer's benefits. The study unit 4, organization should recognize that there is always government policy level, politics and economics, which influences the organizational corporate strategy. There are some political trends that affect our corporate strategy. Here in the courseware, we say 5, but there are more. Even the current existing challenge we are facing right now, the issue of the coronavirus, is a very big issue that is affecting the corporate strategy. So the strategic analysis of the national economy, in the case of the government influence, the manager makes an economic forecast. In the case of the national economy, it falls to the manager to make an economic forecast. And these forecasts are usually made on what? On the key macroeconomic issues. And what are these issues? The gross domestic product, growth domestic, the growth domestic product, the retail flow of imports, exports, and the balance of payments. The private sector share of gross domestic product, the agriculture share of gross domestic product, and the foreign direct investment. So with this, I thank you all for attending this class, for being part of this class, and I wish you the very best. Aside from, if we don't have any questions, we can call the class, bring the class to the close for the day. Thanks.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you.
Having